Hello again, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Home Building Hero, where we help you be the hero in your new home. I am your host, David Bellman. Thank you all for tuning into this podcast. Today's episode is going to be what you need to have before you go in for a mortgage on your new home. So what kind of things do you guys need to bring and be prepared for when you go get that mortgage? So it's always a very kind of exciting time, but it can be a little nerve-wracking when you go into the bank and you're basically asking for money for your dream home. So these are some tips and some things that you need to bring in, and it'll make it a lot easier if you have that stuff ready. It also shows your bank that you're prepared and you're organized. So you may want to take notes on this because I think this is a really helpful topic for anyone that's going to be building a new home. So first and foremost, when you go into the bank, you're going to want to make sure that you have some recent pay stubs. And if you're always like a salary and it's consistent, you won't need very many of those. If you're more commission-based and they vary, then you may want to go back and get more data and get more pay stubs. But make sure you have your pay stubs with you for your bank approval. The second thing that you're going to need, and you might need to enlist the help of your accountant for this, is to make sure that you have the last 2 years of your income tax filings. So those are really important because I think that shows your track record for the bank and will give them a good idea of where your income is and kind of if it changes a lot or if it's pretty static. It also shows that you filed your taxes and that you're paying your taxes as well. So make sure that you have that as well. The next thing that you're going to want to have is like your last 3 months or so of your bank statements. So again, they can see, the balances in your account. Now, if you're banking and you're getting a mortgage at the same bank that you bank at, then that's probably not as necessary. But if you're going with a different bank, like your bank doesn't do new construction, they only do regular mortgages, then you're going to want to have that information for them as well. The next thing that you're going to want to be able to do is explain any large differences or large deposits in your bank account that happened recently. So for example, if mom and dad were really so kind as to give you a couple $1,000s to help you out with the build, and you typically only had a little bit of money here and there in your account, and all of a sudden they see this $5,000 deposit in your account, they're probably going to ask what that is. So be able to have information and be able to substantiate what that is or what that change was in your account. Now, the next thing that you got to know before you go into the bank and ask for a mortgage is to be able to understand that they're typically going to only borrow about 28% of your gross income. Okay, so if you're going to go in there and ask for a loan and all of a sudden you're asking for 3.5 times your gross income, they're probably not going to go for that. So understand that you can get about 28% in payment of your gross income with your financing, so that you're not shooting for the moon here. Most banks generally will probably approve you for more than you expect, and most people don't quite borrow all of that if they can't help it. So the other thing you need to know when you go into the bank is that they're only going to allow you to have 36% of your income be your total debt. And that's of your total. So for example, that would include if you have car payments or other credit that's out there, they're only going to allow you to go up to 36% in most cases without some penalties or other things. The other thing before you go into the bank, know your credit score. And it's a lot easier today to know that than it was back in the day. Back in the day, they didn't have all these online credit score tools and different things that you can go in and check your credit. So if you know that up front, that helps because you might see something on your credit score that you didn't expect. And so that gives you the opportunity before you go in to either explain if there was a blip on your credit, what that was or why that happened, or even maybe get it cleared up before you go in. The other thing is know that you got to have a down payment and have an idea in your mind what you can comfortably put down for your down payment. And of course, the other thing that it helps to know when you're going in for your mortgage is just kind of have a general idea how much you really are looking to borrow. You may not have found that ideal house yet, or you may not know exactly what your new home is going to cost just yet, but to have a general idea what you're looking for, and maybe even the payment structure that you're considering. Are you going to do a 30-year loan? Are you going to do a 15-year loan? Do you want adjustable rate? Most of the time that's going to be the case for new construction. But if rates are going up as they are right now, you're going to probably want to get that fixed rate as soon as possible. If, however, you feel that rates are going to go down, you may want to play the game a little bit and go with an adjustable rate mortgage. And then when the rates are, in an area that you're comfortable with, then you can lock it in. And of course, the other thing you need to have ready and right in front of you when you go in for a mortgage is to make sure that you have your taxes in order. And that's not only your income taxes, making sure they're filed and, of course, paid, we hope, but you also want to make sure that, if you have any outstanding property taxes on existing residences, that those are taken care of as well. It just shows that you are on top of things, that you're keeping up with paying your bills, because obviously that's really what you're going in there for, is the bank is trusting you. They're going to give you this large sum of money and they're trusting that you're going to pay it back. So they want to see a good track record of making payments on time and consistently. And if you show that, and you're going to be in good shape. So now, if you're just going in for pre-approval, that should cover you. If, however, you're a little further in the process and you're actually ready to take out a mortgage, then you're also going to need a fully executed copy of your purchase agreement, your purchase contract. If it's buying a home that's out there, you'll need a signed offer to purchase. If it's a building agreement with your builder, then you're going to need a signed building agreement. You're also going to need a copy of your specifications that come with that home. And then typically the other thing that they're going to want at the bank, and you may or may not have this, is your construction plans. Now, many times you don't have the construction plans at this point, and that's okay, because what will happen is you can either have the builder send those directly to the bank, which a lot of times they prefer to do, or they may need to be made yet. So you may be able to submit everything, and then when the blueprints come in, you send those over to your bank, and you should have just about everything you need then to get your financing started. Now, these days, a lot of times they ask for other information, and you may have to provide more things as you go along throughout the process. And just understand that it's going to take a little bit. The mortgage process is not fast by any means. They're going to collect all the information. They're going to do an appraisal on the property, and then they also have to send it to underwriting. Sometimes the board at the bank has to approve it. So there's quite a few things that have to happen in that process, and typically the fastest I've seen is usually around 30 days, and typically more like 45 to 60 days is a more normal time to get all your approvals from the lender. So that's what you need to go into the bank. It sounds like a lot. It seems a little daunting, but you know what? It's worth it to get that new home and get everything you want. And, if you go in there and you have everything right away, you're going to make life so much easier. And it's going to be a much smoother process if you have those items that I mentioned. So if you'd like more information on this topic, we do have a helpful article on our website. You can go to www.belmanhomes.com. That's BELMAN homes.com. And you can find this article and find a checklist for all the different things that you need before you go in for a mortgage. And we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of The Home Building Hero, and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss future content and future home building tips. We have new podcasts dropping every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So tune in, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.